Okay, so the 4% rule applies to people who have gone into pension drawdown or decumulation. And when you go into decumulation, in the old days, you would buy an annuity, and at that point in time, you would hand over longevity risk to a life company. And it's complicated, which is why life companies hire actuarial services. But when you go into pension drawdown by yourself, you're basically self-insuring yourself against the risk that you live longer than your money does. And so the idea behind the 4% rule is that it gives you a sustainable rate at which you can take money out of your pot without ever running out of money. And so the statistics show, if you have a look at historical market studies, if you're only taking 4% out of your portfolio on an annual basis, you can always last 30 years without ever running out of money. So the 4% rule is used as a rule of thumb, really, in order to get people into the mindset of make sure that they don't take too much money out of their pot. Okay, so there's two elements to that. So you've got the science of retirement and the human element of retirement. Now, statistically, on a purely scientific basis, if you want your money to last as long as possible, all the historical tests show that you put as much money as you can into equities, you take about 4% out of your portfolio on a regular basis, and your money will last longer. And even when you do that, you'll have more money to pass on to your next generation. That's the statistics. But in a 30-year investment journey, I can guarantee you that there will be 5 or 6 bull markets, and there'll also be 5 or 6 bear markets, where equity markets fall really sharply, 20, 30, maybe even 50% isn't out of the question when you have a look at what's happened in the past. And when that happens, if you've got all of your money that you intend to live on for the rest of your life, if you've got all of your money in an equity pot which can fall 30, 40, 50%, what we know is human beings will panic in that situation. They will cash out all of their portfolio, they'll close down the investment strategy, and they'll go off and do something else. And so on the basis that we absolutely do know there will be 5 or 6 instances over a 30-year period where markets fall really, really sharply, the idea behind having all of your money in an equity portfolio just doesn't really work for us. So we suggest that instead you use the fact that people are human beings and they act as human beings. We suggest that you structure your portfolio differently and don't use a 100% equity portfolio. These are some of the behavioral pieces that we can build into a retirement portfolio service to negate the fact that people will panic when markets fall sharply and they'll run off and do something else. So the idea behind bucketing is getting the client to concentrate on the low risk part of the portfolio. If these people are going to spend 4% of their portfolio on an annualized basis, why not put maybe 10% of their money in a cash bucket, so that the value of their income for the next 2 to 2.5 years is completely taken care of. They never need to worry about what's going to happen in the next 2 to 2.5 years, because the money that they need for that period is all nicely, safely tucked away in cash. In the meantime, because they're focused and they've lowered their anxiety by having that cash bucket, the other buckets of the portfolio, medium risk, medium return, and a high risk, high return bucket, can go off and do what investment markets need to do, but in the protection of knowing that the client is not focused on the day-to-day fluctuations, and they're more focused on what they need for the next 2 to 2.5 years. So that's the first strategy, which is bucketing. If you then add on top of that a natural income strategy, so your investment risky part of the portfolio also produce a natural income, as you're taking money out of the cash bucket, the investment part of the portfolio is putting cash back into the cash bucket. And so instead of having a 2.5 year window where they know that their money is safe, you're now into a situation where they've got 5, 6, maybe even 7 years of knowing that their portfolio is, and the income that they need for the next 5, 6, 7 years is completely safe. And what we see, if you have a look at the recovery of mixed asset portfolios when they go through a bear market, most mixed asset portfolios historically will recover all of their value within 2 to 4 years. So if you can put this bucketing strategy together with a natural income strategy, you've now got a total portfolio where even if you do see sharp drops in the value of the portfolio, you're giving that portfolio time to breathe and time to recover and lowering the anxiety of clients. Okay, so the smart rebalancing plays on the fact that, what we said earlier, which is you've got a 30-year investment window where you know that you'll see 5 or 6 instances when markets fall sharply. But the flip side of that, of course, is you'll see 5 or 6 periods where investment markets grow nice and strong, and you'll see some real strong returns over that 30-year time period as well. And what the smart rebalancing principle does is when you see those strong returns, you take those profits. Because we know that you'll lose somebody later on in the cycle, so you take those profits when you see them, rebalance the portfolio, take the risk out of the portfolio, and top up the cash so that you've got the addition of the client seeing the cash portfolio, knowing that their income's safe for the next couple of years, lower the anxiety, and they keep with the strategy.